everybody, in this lesson we're going to talk about capitalization. This is another very basic form of grammar that everybody needs to know. Really, in this lesson, you're going to be able to identify correct capitalization in sentences through taking notes on this video, doing some practice work, and a mastery check. But really, the purpose of this lesson is you need to know how to correctly capitalize. In the day and age that we live in text messaging and social media, a lot of our devices capitalize things for us automatically. When you're typing in Google Docs or Word, it will automatically capitalize, or it'll at least put a little red line underneath things to let you know that they're wrong. But the thing is that if you don't properly capitalize in the professional world, you probably are not going to hold a job for very long, and you're certainly going to be judged for having a lack of education for not knowing how to capitalize properly. So this is a really important thing, and I see a lot of bad capitalization or errors in capitalization. So let's talk about how you do this properly. So the first rule for capitalization is that you always capitalize the first word in any sentence, okay? If it's a sentence, the first word gets capitalized. The taxi stopped when I waved, capitalize the. The second rule is that you capitalize the first word in a quotation if what's inside that quote is also a complete sentence, okay? She said the art museum is closed. The art museum is closed is its own sentence all by itself. The needs to be capitalized. But here, she said she was happy for his good grade on the test. Happy for his good grade on a test is not its own sentence. It's just part of what she said. And so this H should not be capitalized. The third rule is that you always capitalize the first word after a colon if what follows it is a complete sentence. So again, there's a pattern here in these first three rules. It's always about complete sentences equal first letter capitalized. Example, we all had the same thought. How are we going to decide which attractions to visit? How are we going to decide which attractions to visit is a complete sentence. The H needs to be capitalized. In this sentence here, we needed 3 items for the hike: water bottles, sunscreen, and walking sticks. You just have a list. Water bottles, sunscreen, and walking sticks is not a sentence by itself. Therefore, the W should not be capitalized. The fourth capitalization rule is that you always capitalize proper nouns. And so a good rule to live by is that when you get specific, if something is specific, you capitalize it. A person's name, geographical names like streets and towns and cities and countries, these all need to be capitalized, okay? 85th Street, Chicago, Cook County, states, provinces, nations, continents, okay? Valleys, deserts, mountains. Notice that valleys is just a common noun, but when you name something specific like the Grand Canyon, now that needs to be capitalized. Notice the is not capitalized because it's not actually part of the name. But all of these things, when you name a specific river or specific falls, if you name a specific lake, a specific sea, a specific ocean, names of special places, okay? Anything that has some level of specificity to it is going to be capitalized. And if it's not specific, it is not capitalized. Okay, so this goes back to the idea of common and proper nouns. This continues, right? All of these different types of proper nouns, okay? Specific events and periods of time, days and months, holidays, religious days, special events, okay? Notice again, all of these things are very specifically named, therefore they get capitalized. Religions, gods, names, notice, specifics, capitalization. Okay. Rule 5 is that you capitalize proper adjectives. Okay, it's the same rule. When you're specific, you capitalize. A proper adjective is a proper noun that's being used as an adjective, okay? Like New York cab driver or Korean restaurant. Like what type of restaurant is it? It's a Korean restaurant. Korean is being used as an adjective here, and you have to capitalize it, okay? New York cab driver. What kind of cab driver? A New York cab driver. New York here is an adjective, but you capitalize it. Okay, but you do not capitalize prefixes with proper adjectives unless that prefix refers to a nationality, okay? So again, here are some specific examples. all American, you capitalize American, but not all. Okay, pre-Renaissance. But when you get to something like Anglo-American, okay, Latin American, then you would capitalize those things, okay, because they are part of nationality. In a hyphenated adjective, you capitalize only the proper adjective. French-speaking Canadians, so French and Canadians are the specifics. Speaking is generalized, and that is why it stays lowercase. And then Rule 6 is titles. Titles of people. Professor Thomas. If you said the professor, you would not capitalize. But as soon as you say Professor Thomas, because it's a specific professor, you capitalize it. Okay, again, it's this pattern. When you get specific, you capitalize things. Titles of certain high government officials, important words in compound titles, but not those prefixes, just like we were just talking about. Okay, any type of title that shows family relationship. Now, if I said grandmother, not capitalized. But when I say grandmother Tellerico, it's capitalized. If I said brother, not capitalized. But when I say brother Steve, capitalized. Okay, the first word and all other key words in titles of books, periodicals, poems, stories, plays. So not all words in titles get capitalized. The key words get capitalized. For example, a raisin in the sun, the key words here is A because it's the first word, raisin and sun. In the do not get capitalized because they're just part of the title. They're like linking words, okay? Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, notice everything here is capitalized because it's all important. Okay, and then when you get to talking about your classes, specific titles of courses, when the courses are a language and they're followed by a number, then you capitalize them. And if they are not followed by a number or they are not the specific title of a course, then you do not capitalize it. Okay, so you wouldn't just say like, I'm practicing algebra and capitalize algebra. It would be lowercase. But if you say I'm practicing my algebra 2, then you would capitalize it because it's followed by a number. Okay. And your note here is capitalization is dropped when the subject is being talked about just in general. Okay, so that's the example I just gave. Like I have to get to English class and then go to biology. English gets capitalized because it's a language, but biology, you're just generalizing it. You're not saying you're going to biology class or biology 1. And that's it. If you've got it, go ahead and continue on with the lesson. If you're lost, rewatch. Make sure you've taken your notes. If you're super lost, you really don't understand capitalization, check in and let's work together and get you what you need.